I'm Jason. This is Kim and Mishka, and this is ARGO. She's a 1991 Granger sailing cat that we renovated so we could live aboard. We're learning as we go, making memories and a few mistakes, and squeezing the most out of every day. Thanks for coming along for the ride. We are leaving the Percys and it's 5:15 in the afternoon, so we're going to be doing a night sail, or a night motor at least, for the first half. So the wind's really, really light up until about midnight, 1 o'clock, and then it's going to come in hard between 20 and up to 30 knots.
So thanks for having us, Percys. We did take a few of your coconuts. Our first ever coconuts on this sort of getting them ourselves. Well, there was a ladder, there was also a slashy device, but still he had to climb the ladder in his safety footwear and to get said coconuts down. So he used the machete and got all the husk off, and then we have straws on board, our metal straws, so we had a lovely coconut water refreshing drink this afternoon and scooped some of the flesh out, which was just magnificent. We are off to Scawfell, as Jace said, and then from there straight into the Whitsundays, so it'll just be a quick bunny hop there. We won't even, we might spend a day there depending what happens with the wind. At the minute, up to 31 knots for tomorrow, and then again the following day, but that's kind of been changing, so we'll monitor that and make a call, but at this stage it might be Scawfell for the one day, and then next day take off up to the Whitsundays. But in the meantime, we give you the sunset from Percy. Forecast is bang on. I sound surprised. Normally it's not, but tonight it has been. Maximum speed just under 30. Maximum speed just under 10 knots. We're sitting around somewhere between 6.5 to 7.5 knots of speed.
So we made it into Scawfell Island anchorage. It's now 5 a.m. We dropped the anchor at 4:30, and I wanted to ideally get a mooring buoy in here because there are 4, but as we turned into the anchorage I could see there was about 8 boats in here, seeing their anchor lights. 2 of them have got their AOS on, so I could see them from a fair distance away before we even turned the corner. And one of them was clearly on the mooring buoy, and there was another buoy which I think is free next to it, but we made the decision just to drop the anchor in the middle of the anchorage. It's too dicey to go over and try and attempt that in a place we haven't been to before, in pitch darkness. They put those mooring buoys very close to the reef, and there's another boat very close to that. So I think that would have been foolhardy to try.
And it's gusting 30 knots.
And it's gusting to 37 knots here in the anchorage. We're getting a lot of bullets down off the steep mountains in front of us. So it's relatively, I don't want to say calm, it's not rolly in terms of swell, but the wind is still blowing strong. So we'll sit up now and wait for the sun to come up, and then I can have a look around and just see how close I am to other boats, because just a little bit wary of one or two boats that I can see, and if we need to move, then we can move, or if I can see a buoy available, then we can do it in daylight and grab it, and then we'll be nice and secure. But turns out coming into a foreign anchorage in the middle of the night in high winds is pretty harrowing, because I was a bit jittery trying to get my nerves under control. But we did it, and Kim had to stand up the front in these really high winds, which is really quite nasty as well. But we got it done, and very pleased to be here now. We can relax, and looking forward to that sun coming up so we can actually have a lie down and a proper sleep, because we certainly didn't get any last night. All right, it's now 2 p.m, so we've had a bit of a sleep. Not a very good one, but we have had one. And now we're going to move, because we're out in the middle of the bay, pretty exposed. The wind's still coming through here fairly hard at 20-25 knots. But we think it's a bit more sheltered over there near those three boats. There's a big hill up there under the boom. They might be giving them a little bit more protection. All right, that's a bit better. It's a lot better, actually. Far less wind over here. We've still got a few bullets down from the hill, but significantly calmer over here. So we can have a nice relaxing afternoon watching the boats come in.
That's Scawfell behind us. We're now aiming forward. We're going to scoot between a couple of islands here and make our way up past Brampton and on towards Shaw Island, which is just before you get to Lindeman. Lindeman's not going to be great today. We haven't been there before, but looking at the weather today, it just won't be a nice anchorage. So we'll skip that again and go back to Shaw, because that we know is an anchorage that'll be good for us. Wind is great this morning. It's finally calmed down. We were sustained over 20 knots for the last couple of days at Shaw. Fantastic anchorage, I have to say. Like strong wind, but we were tucked up, nice and safe. Really didn't get much roll at all. Anchor just dug right in, and it was actually a really good couple of days just to hide away there. We weren't the only ones. There probably, I don't know, 8 or so other boats there, and pretty much everyone else is bugged out this morning as well. We've all just sort of took a hiatus and are now all heading off in different directions. But a cracking day, clear sky. We're sitting somewhere between 13 to 15 knots true, and we've been sort of 5 to 7 knots just under Screecher alone. So it's a nice start, and hopefully a nice swift one to get us up towards shore. We're just coming up on the Smith Islands. So we've got Tinsmith here. The little one in the middle is Lynn Island, and then you have Goldsmith out here, and there's more Smiths in the back. Last season we stayed at Goldsmith and totally rated it. Great anchorage. But this time, we're just going to scoot on by and carry on up to shore. We did stay at shore last time as well, but it's a great little jumping point to get then across to Hamilton Island, where we'll need to be tomorrow. But we've been sort of averaging, I don't know, 6s and 7s, to be honest. It's been a really nice whippy run. And we were just saying before that last season we tended to do around about 4.5 knots. That seemed to be where we found ourselves sitting from a speed point of view. This season we're sitting more high fives on average, sort of anywhere between 5.5 and 6 as an average speed. So it's at points we've been doing 7.5 or 8s. It's really different to last year. So I think it's a combo of two things. One, we're better at knowing which sail to use and how to use it. And I think two, we're going out in stronger winds than we did last year. So we're getting more comfortable with how the boat handles itself in that kind of weather and how we manage ourselves in that kind of weather. And it's made a huge difference to our average speeds and to the joy on our faces, because it's, you know, who doesn't like to go fast? Good learnings.
So this is Shore Island that we've just dropped anchor at. It's right opposite, I think that's Lindeman just across there behind me. Double check that on the map, always get those confused. So from here it's a very short sail tomorrow morning into Hamilton Island Marina to pick up some friends and have a bit of a day sail with them, which would be great. Looking forward to that. We had a terrific sail from Scawfell to here. It was just excellent. We had really good wind and a good angle the whole way. So we just came under screecher for most of it, and just the last little bit we had a bit of wing on wing down the end before we came into the anchorage with the wind directly behind us. Just love it when it's like that, because it's an easy, no stress sail. The most wind we saw was about 21, 22 knots true, and the screecher in these conditions will tolerate that. The most apparent wind we saw behind us was around about, I think 17 was the max, but it usually sat around 15 for most of the way, which gets us along at a reasonably good clip. Now we are in the Whitsundays proper, which is a happy hunting ground for us. It's still, you know, things can go wrong around here, but there are some beautiful places and generally really good sailing conditions. So I was all ready to relax and have a beer at the anchorage here at Shore Island. Went to make some water, and of course I found a leak, quite a bad leak actually, in this, which is the pre-filter low pressure gauge, I guess you call it. I've removed it, goes in there. I've removed it from the back just to isolate and make sure that that is where the water is coming from, and sure enough it is, but it's not just coming from the connection from the hose to the gauge, It's coming from inside the gauge through that hole at the back. So, and it's quite bad. It's coming out everywhere. So I have sent a message to my friend the Watermaker Man, and I'm just waiting to hear back to see if that whole gauge needs to be replaced or whether perhaps it could be repaired. I don't know. But anywho, can't be making water with it like that. So just another thing that breaks on your boat. I guess I might as well have that beer. Well, we've had a wonderful day today with friends Karen and Steve. Bit of a day sail from Hamilton Island across to Happy Bay on Long Island. Bit of a barbecue lunch, well, Mexican lunch. And then a sail back to drop them off at Hamilton Island, get a bit of fuel for our tender and the generator. And now we're heading back around to Cid Harbour to spend the night before we head up to Butterfly Bay tomorrow and out towards the reef the following day. So thoroughly enjoyed today. It was really good and a cracking day as well. Just light winds, so a beautiful gentle sail across the Whitsunday Channel. Really enjoyed the day. Fantastic to catch up with good friends.
We've had an overnight at Cid, and this morning are on our way up to Butterfly Bay, just coming past the outside of Hook Island now and around past Stonehaven, which is in here, and then we're going up through the pass. Over to the left here is where Langford is, where those two really cool underwater sculptures are that we had a look at last season. Great idea. And so, you know, the weather's, I don't know what we're going to do. We were going to go out to the reef, but whilst the wind is going to be perfect out there, the clouds don't want to play. It's going to be quite overcast and apparently a little bit rainy, according to the bomb. So we're just going to monitor that overnight and make a call. If it doesn't look great, then we'll hang around the islands here for a couple of days, and then we need to get into Airlie, reprovision, and then we're making our way north, trying to get up to Cairns by mid-June for a whole stack of reasons. But Whitsundays, the colour of the water just is incredible. But just beautiful up here. You know, you could absolutely spend a whole season up here. It's such a spectacular part of the world. We started out this morning on the Genoa, but we've moved to Screecher fairly quickly. Wind turned around in behind us, so we're sitting on anywhere between 120 and all full down wind. So she's been holding her own up there, and we did get up to sort of 7.5 knots at one point, just slowed down a little bit as we're coming around in the lee of the island. But it's been a really nice sailing day and quite enjoyable. I do really like this part of the world. We are at Butterfly Bay and we've decided we're going to go for a snorkel over this side. Let me just show you what it looks like in here. There's It's really beautiful. This is the end bay. And we are going to kind of do this whole section along here and try and get over to that beach. So paddleboard it is. Wish us well. Oh wow, I'm really glad we did that. The Maori Wrasse was massive. The clams, they are the biggest I've ever seen that are live. We saw similar when we were at Orpheus in the Clam Bay, but sadly they had all died. There's a video that we did on that, and it was kind of really sad to see so many clams that had suffered from a freshwater deluge that had come down and taken them all out. But these were pumping away down there, and they're huge. I don't know if it's going to show up, but wow, it's super cool, and like so many fish, great coral colour, but mostly all down this end, towards the opening of the bay. Much better down there. This part here, not so much. But I'm super stoked that we got in the water and did that. Needed the exercise, and nice to have a little bit of underwater stuff going on again. It's been a while.
Here we are at beautiful Manta Ray Bay. We've got batfish and big black trevally swimming right off the back of the boat. Like that. He's down there. Looks really good. We'll get in, have a bit of a poke around, see what we can find. we've got the main up. It seems like, no, it has been months, I think, since that's happened.
I think so.
I think the last time was when we came up from Brisbane to cross the Wide Bay Bar, that overnight trip. All the rest of it has been screecher and genoa. So it's nice to have that up. It is flapping and making a bit of an annoying noise, but it's all good.
Flickery buzz sort of noise.
So we're going upwind at about 40 degrees. We've got 16, almost 17 knots of apparent. We're heading over to Airlie Beach from Manta Ray Bay.
How good was that?
Oh, it's super special. Super special.
We went across from Butterfly. We stayed at Butterfly overnight, and we just thought, oh, we'll slip up to Manta Ray and just have a quick snorkel. And I'm so glad we did it. It's not a great day today, really overcast and actually a bit cold. But anyway, we went over there and just had to wait for another boat to get off one of the moorings. So we just hung out in Luncheon Bay for a minute and had a bit of breakfast. And then we scooted over to Manta Ray Bay and took a mooring buoy there. And just the coral there is so good. And the fish are like little puppy dogs. They just follow you around. There's great big Maori Wrasse and there's big Trevallies. Batfish.
It's like Nemo's Coral Garden.
Yeah.
It's just like off the movie. It looks like that.
Super cool spot. Today there were millions of teeny tiny little jellyfish in the water. They weren't stingy, but you kind of had to wade through. It was like swimming through rice bubbles. But an excellent stop this morning. And so now we're going to do the shoot across to Airlie Beach and get some provisions before we sneak up the coast and keep heading north.
Yeah. So you can see there, our true wind's 14, apparent's about 17-ish, so pretty comfortable wind speed, and our angle's sitting up around almost 40 degrees. A few other boats doing the same thing in front of us. Right up the top of that main, in the third segment down, a bit of vibration there just against the mast with that part of the sail. All the rest of it looks good.
And we've got a slightly furled genoa as well. We furled it a touch because it was being blanketed by the main. So we just moved the Traveller to the front just to give us a little bit more give in the sail and get it away from the spreader. But the wind angle that we're on is making it really quite flappy. So happy to have it furled in just a touch.
So we're not sure if that's the right thing to do, pushing that car forward on the Genoa sheet, but I think that's the right thing to do when we're going upwind, to try and pull down more on the leach of the sail, try and stop that flapping as much, and then it still wasn't fixing it completely, which is why we filled it that little bit more. So it's running okay at the moment. We're doing sixes and that's fine. We'll sit back and enjoy the ride now.